Hi there, I'm here with Jerome Chouchan, who is the CEO of Godiva Japan, and we're going to talk about transformation. Jerome, how are you doing today?
Fine, thank you, Scott, for bringing this conversation.
Really looking forward to it. We're here at the Consumer Goods Forum, where there's a lot of talk about the transformations taking place in the food industry. But let's start by learning just a little bit about Godiva Japan.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the organization.
Yes, so Godiva Japan manage the countries of Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the factory in Belgium. So Japan is our biggest market for Godiva worldwide. And since 2019, we had a spin-off from the rest of Godiva, and we are now, our shareholder is a private equity firm, MBK Partners.
So, we met a couple years ago. You said there's a lot of stuff going on in our industry that means we need to do something different. Say a little bit more about some of the forces that are at work that led you as a leader to say, I need to think differently about innovation and growth.
Yes, so first of all, in Japan, we are the category leader, and by far. So, and we have quadrupled 4 times the business in the last 13 years. And of course, we want to continue at that pace. And when you see the world changing so fast, you know that you have to create the future, and then the core of tomorrow is not the core of today. So we have a very, I would say, core business, which is a fantastic business, which is based on gifting. I give you a box of chocolate.
Do you have a box of chocolate for me right now?
After the interview, we have it for you, for birthday, for Christmas. So it's a fantastic business. We have it in omni-channels. But then, what could be the core of tomorrow? That's the questions I think we need to think about when you see the values, the young generation, the force that are in the world today, and especially in Asia.
I did not know that Japan was the #1 chocolate market in the world, although I do know my kids really asked me to bring back chocolate from this trip to Japan, so who knows, maybe they were ahead of me as they often are. So let's talk a little bit then about what your growth agenda is.
Yes.
As you think about the different things that you do, quadrupling growth in 13 or quadrupling sales in 13 years is very impressive. How do you maintain that in a world that's changing as fast as this world is?
Yes, so our growth, the core business, we of course have a still white space with the number of boutiques we can open. That's our core business. And we are now thinking also what could be the new driver. And that's where we implemented something which is dear to you, the dual transformation framework.
I really like that framework.
And so let me elaborate on that. We had this dual transformation. The first one is to do the same thing, a chocolate in a package, in a box, but differently. That's our transformation number 1. What do I mean by differently? Means usually our product innovation cycle takes 1 year, 1.5 years.
Wow.
And this transformation is to bring new product every month. And we call it monthly chef's collections. So this means a complete different product cycle, different packaging, and different occasions. It's not for your Christmas or for your birthday, it's maybe for you to bring home, or a very casual gift, or a discovery moment. So this is a different occasion, but it's the same thing, it's chocolate in a package. So this is our first transformations. So doing differently the same, I would say, business model.
And I like the fact, Jerome, that you're even motioning with your hands,
Yes.
the dual transformation framework, where we say, if you're essentially in the same market, solving a very similar job to be done, but doing it differently,
Yes.
that's the first transformation. In the book, we call it Transformation A, Transformation 1, whatever you want to call it. But that's that one. Then we have this line up here. So what's the second transformation that you're working on?
Yes, so the second transformation is to say, okay, what could we do besides gifting? And of course, as Godiva, what could we do? And then we came with the idea of a food service, Godiva Cafe. And Godiva Cafe not serving only sweets, chocolate, of course, and savory. So it's entering a completely new business for us, new model, new occasion for the consumer. So this food service segment is something we have never done before, and that's the transformation B you're mentioning. And now we have opened 10 cafes. We nearly open 3 cafes every 6 months. We are on a massive acceleration right now. It's a very exciting journey. And I learned one thing on this.
Only one thing. I'm sure you learned more than one thing, but I'm sure there's an important thing that you learned.
Is when you're new on this transformation too, we said, okay, let's recruit people who are professional on this industry. I recruit people from outside who know cafe, who know food service. And you know what? They replicate what is going on today on the cafe model. The problem is the Godiva brand is so strong in Japan. People have an image of Godiva. And if it is a Godiva cafe, they want something completely new, completely different with the name Godiva. That's what it is today. But the cafe expert people could not think differently. So I learned that what we should recruit is not expert of the sector, but maybe expert in innovation or expert in looking differently or passionate people who maybe don't have experience. Because at the beginning we started to do this transformation with the same people as the core. This did not work.
And it never does. But sometimes you have to have the experiential learning to really understand it. We wish that it is. We have these great people in the core.
Yes.
We say they can go and do new things, but they're great in the core. They're not great at new things.
Exactly. And so we set up a separate division. We call it transformation, inspired by your books, and now we have it. And the transformation are really culturally also in the company. It's understood for everyone that it's different from the core.
Just on that point of culture, I'm curious, how important is it to get the culture right? Because you're talking about 2 really big changes. The idea of this monthly chef's collection, the idea of the cafes, that's a lot of different things for the organization. How do you think about a culture that's receptive to that?
So one thing that I found very essential is that it does not appear as the CEO pet project. Mm-hmm. So this means if it's only me, it will not work. So we have to inform the whole organization and involve them in the idea, not in the execution. Execution will be the separate division, but the whole organization understand what we want to do. We want to transform. There will be a transformation department. There will be these 2 projects. So everybody knows that. So that's one thing I found out. Another thing is to have a safe place that people can debate. That's open. And the third thing is to make very clear that we are not expecting the same metrics as the core, because just before coming to this forum a few days ago, the transformation team proposed to open a new cafe in a very exciting place. And they went to the CFO, and the CFO refused it because it does not give the same return on investment that our core business, which is a fantastic machine. And then that's where me as a CEO, I have to jump in and say, no, let's...
Right decision if we're in today's game, trying to play that a little bit better. Playing a new game, we have to follow new rules, or else we're never going to succeed.
Yes, and to say, okay, this is the start of this journey, so we are not expecting the same metrics return that we have in our core. And this looks very simple, but in an organization, this, if you don't make it clear and very in the whole organization, the transformation project can be killed easily.
Well, and we have seen repeatedly that, when I was growing up, there was this game Telephone where you whisper something to the person next to you, and by the time it gets back around to you, it's completely different. So this idea that if you're not very simple and clear in communication, the organization interprets things in all sorts of different ways. And that's not what you want. You need to have a very simple message that you repeat.
Yes.
Well, Jerome, last question I have for you. What advice for a CEO who's in a similar situation to the one you were in a few years ago?
Yes.
What advice would you give them?
I would say, first of all, focus on one or two bets, one or two big ideas. You say, okay, this is it, I go for it, I'm focusing on it. And as we said earlier, you repeat it, you transmit it to the organization. Focus, then second, determination. You're very, that's where we want to do. We don't know maybe the details of it, but that's what we want to do. And third, patience. What I learn, it's very interesting because is that it never goes at the speed you imagine. The first transformation monthly chef collection went well, extremely fast. Even a TV program called us and said, can you make a product for our in next month's TV program with a celebrity? I had all the infrastructure in place. I said, okay. So and this was a huge media impact. But the second, the cafe took longer than what I expected. But I can see the metrics, I can see the consumer satisfaction, I can see a few things which shows that we are in a good path, but it's take more time than what I anticipated.
So Jerome, a question I'm interested in, so you're trying to do some really different things. How do you as a CEO get the inspiration you need to succeed? Because of course you have been very successful doing something, but now you're trying to do something different.
Yes, so it's all about expanding my thinking and also ecosystem. And in this process, Innosight has been a very helpful partner for us because it helps us to challenge, to clarify our thinkings, and a partnership like this is something necessary when you want to really transform your organization.
Awesome. Jerome.